Senlis is a commune in the Oise department in northern France. It has a long and rich heritage, having traversed centuries of history. This medieval town has welcomed some of the most renowned figures in French history, including Hugh Capet, Louis IX, the Marshal of France, Anne of Kiev and Séraphine. Senlis. The monarchs of the early French dynasties lived here, attracted by the proximity of the Chantilly forest. It is renowned for the Gothic Senlis Cathedral and its vast historical monuments. Its inhabitants are called Senlisiens and Senlisiennes. Geography. Senlis is part of the province of Oise in the region of Picardy in the north of France. It is situated on the river Nanette, between the forests of Chantilly and Menonville in the south and Latter on the north. It is located 40 kilometers from the north of Paris, 44 kilometers from Beauvais and 79 kilometers from Amiens. The highest point of the town lies at the heart of the forest Latter, and the lowest point is located on the banks of the Nanette, west of the city. Geologically, the area is occupied by a vast limestone plateau of the Lutetian covered mostly in silt. History. Senlis was known in early Roman imperial times as Augustimagus and later as Civitas Silvanexum. During the 3rd century, a 7-meter-high defensive wall, about half of which still exists, was erected around the settlement in response to Frankish incursions. The wall remained in use into the 13th century. The town also featured a Roman amphitheatre, the remains of which are still visible, about 500 meters west of the walled town. The amphitheatre seated as many as 10,000 people and was used for public meetings, theatre, gladiatorial combats, and animal hunts. The monarchs of the early French dynasties lived here, attracted by the proximity of the Chantilly forest and its venison, and built a castle on the foundations of the Roman settlement. In 987 the Archbishop of Reims, Alberon, called together an assembly, and asked them to choose Hugh Capet as King of France. However, the monarchs of France soon abandoned the city, preferring Compiègne and Fontainebleau. New life was given to the city in the 12th century, and ramparts were built. The popularity of the city later fell, and it slipped into decline. Today it remains an attraction for tourists for its long history and its links to the French monarchy. Royal City. Senlis fell under the ownership of Hugh Capet in 981. He was elected king by his barons in 987 before being crowned at Noyon. Under the Capetian rule, Senlis became a royal city and remained so until the reign of Charles X. A castle was built during this period whose remains still lie today. The city reached its apogee in the 12th and 13th centuries as trade of wool and leather increased, while vineyards began to grow. With an increasing population, the city expanded and required the construction of new ramparts. A second chamber was erected under Philip II that was larger and higher than the ramparts of the Gallo-Romans. A municipal charter was granted to the town in 1173 by the King Louis VII. The Bishop of Senlis and the Chancellor Guérin became close advisors to the king, strengthening Senlis' ties to the French royalty. In 1265, the bailiwick of Senlis was created with its vast territory covering the Beauvais and the French Vexin. In 1319, the town, crippled by debt, was passed to the control of the royalty. Senlis became devastated by the 100 Years' War, but managed to escape destruction despite being besieged by the Armagnacs. Senlis' economy suffered heavily and would have to wait until the 15th century to observe another boom, during which many buildings were built or restored. In 1493, the King Charles VII of France, son of Louis XI, signed the Treaty of Senlis with the Duke of Burgundy, Maximilian I of Austria. Sites. The Senlis Cathedral is a Roman Catholic Gothic church and a national monument of France. The cathedral was the ancient seat of the bishopric of Senlis, abolished by the Concordat of 1801, when its territory was passed to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Beauvais, the southern portal of the 16th century. The works of Martin Chamberges marked the evolution of Gothic art. The cathedral was built between 1153 and 1519. Its 256-foot tall spire dates from the 13th century and is visible across the plain of Valois. Its transepts were rebuilt between 1530 and 1556 after being destroyed by a fire, while the side portals and shallow east chapels date from about the same period. The ancient royal castle Priory St. Maurice. The site has been occupied since the Roman era. In the course of the 4th century, the site was visited by the Carolingian kings. The actual castle dates back from the 12th century under Louis VII of France. Hôtel de Ville Senlis has a plaque attached to honor the loyalty of Henry IV of France. The former street, Vincent Abbey, was founded in 1065 by Queen Anne of Kiev and entrusted to the canons regular of the Abbey of St. Genevieve in Paris, known as Genevefanes. The complex was transformed into a boys' boarding school by the Marist Fathers in the 19th century and still exists today. The Museum of Art and Archaeology contains notably rings found in a Roman Gaul temple in the forest of Delata. It is currently closed for renovation. The Museum of the Hunts. The Museum of the Spies. Culture. In 1972, the September meetings were created as cultural manifestation, making Senlis pedestrian town for a weekend in September. The event allows the public to discover the gardens and particular hotel hidden behind doorways. The last gathering took place in 2007. The Garden Lounge takes place around April, along with the Christmas March that take place around the Church of St. Peter. In A Writer at War 14-18, Edouard David describes the German destruction that he witnesses when visiting Senlis on 6 June 1915. On June 8 he wrote, Senlis Bond, Dynamites. The historical framework of Senlis, with its ancient cobbled alleys and its proximity to Paris, made it a major destination for cinema. Among many of the following movies filmed in Senlis: Coeurs du Monde by D.W. Griffith, Ces dames au chapeau vert by André Berthomeu, Le Dialogue des Carmelites by André Berthomeu, Cartouche with Jean-Paul Belmondo and Claudia Cardinal, Angelique Leroy with Michel Mercier and Jean Rochefort, Le Roi de Coeur by Philippe de Broca, Peaudane with Catherine Deneuve, Jean Marais and Jacques Perrard, Raphael Aula des Borches by Michel Deville, Les Danses à Sophie by Moshe Mizrahi, Les Malheurs d'Alfred by Pierre Richard, RAS by Yves Bossuet, La La Cuisse with Louis de Funès and Collicher, Lavery with Laus de Funès and Michel Galabru, La Nuit de Varennes by Ettore Scola with Jean-Louis Barrault, Marcello Mastroianni and Anna Scheigala, Papy Fête de la Résistance with Christian Clavier and Michel Blanc, La Petite Voleuse by Claude Miller with Charlotte Gainsbourg, La Reine Margot with Isabella Gianni and Daniel Auteuil, Le Comte de Monte Cristo with Gerard Depardieu, Arsène Lupin by Jean-Paul Salomé with Kristen Scott Thomas, Séraphine by Martin Provost with Yolanda Moreau, L'After Duma with Gerard Depardieu and Benoit Poelvoorde, Crane Cubilité film, Surteries, Com TV series, Personalities, Armand Durantine, French playwright and novelist, Thomas Couture, French historian and teacher, Séraphine Louis, French naive painter, William Milherber, post-impressionist painter, Kevin Gamero, French footballer, Grégoire Bossonot, French composer, author and singer. Jean-Baptiste Lefebvre de Villibrun, physician, philologist and translator. Pierre Chastelain, Jesuit. Antoine Baume, pharmacist. Thomas Couture, artist. Pierre Montazul, cinematographer. Bill D. Ramey, singer. Claire Kime, actress and singer. Jérôme Thion, rugby union footballer. Elvis Vermeulen, rugby union footballer. David De Freitas, footballer. Karim Suchu, basketball player. Sébastien Minard, cyclist. Jean-Eudes Demaret, cyclist. Kevin Gamero, footballer. Anne Maravin, actress. Celine Gobaville, shooter. Georges Zifra, Hungarian pianist. Jules Moyniers, Animalia sculptor. International relations. Senlis twinned with Langenfeld, Rhineland in Germany. New Richmond, Indiana, Quebec, Canada. Montel in Italy. Kiev, Pechesk in Ukraine.